Hello and a very warm welcome to Money Control. Today we have with us the MD and CEO of Tata Power, Mr. Praveer Sinha. A very warm welcome to Money Control, sir. Energy transition is playing out to be, a big theme globally, and countries are now kind of competing with each other in terms of incentives or whatever for green hydrogen and battery storage. In that context, what should India do to kind of develop these in the country, and what are the challenges that you see?
So when we talk of energy transition, we need to look at the whole power sector in totality. What we are seeing is we are transitioning and focusing a lot on renewable power, which means it's a mix of solar, wind, hydro, pumped hydro, and battery storage. And to that is also getting hydrogen added. And I think these all have a role to play when we talk of the energy transition. It's not just either or. These are all of them are and. So solar has to work with wind so that we come up with hybrid solutions. Solar and wind have to work with hydro or pumped hydro so that we start looking at 24/7. We also need to look at solar and wind with battery storage. We need to look at solar and wind with hydrogen. So I think each of them have a role to play, and depending upon the application where it has to be utilized, one will see that each of them will have a significant role when we do the full transition. And this is going to take time. It is not going to happen very quickly. There are challenges in terms of intermittency of power. There are challenges of cost. How do we bring down the cost of hydrogen or battery storage or even pumps hydro? So I think there are a whole lot of things that needs to be carried out. And in Tata Power, we are very conscious of our responsibility that how do we take forward each of these initiatives, and we calibrate it in such a way so that the end user gets the benefit of these technologies, but also gets it at an affordable tariff, which makes it financially viable.
Right. And in terms of infra opportunity, what is the infra opportunity that you see in India, and what more needs to be done, to boost investment and execution, especially in the energy?
So I think there are a lot of policy support that is coming from the government side in terms of various bids which are coming for large utility scale projects, and for setting up those projects, large investments are required, which will come from India, but we'll also see a lot of foreign capital coming in, either through direct investment or through the financial institution investors who come over here. We will also see a large amount of investment that will come to the technology interventions that are taking place, whether it is in the energy storage or it is in hydrogen. And there again, along with technology, you will have investors who will come and put capital. So I think there will be huge amount of changes that you will see in the power sector, and also in associated sectors, especially in the automobile sector, in transport sector, you will see a large number of electric vehicles coming in and the technology to support that. And also the whole ecosystem, whether it is in terms of the EV charging or the whole practice of how these facilities are provided better to the consumers, and they experience a seamless experience of using electric vehicle right across the country for any sort of travel, short distance, long distance, intercity travel. So I think there are great opportunities, and considering that India is one of the fastest growing economy, and there is an aspirational India which is expecting a lot of improvement in their quality of life. I think this is the decade of India, and maybe next few decades are decades of India.
Right, talking about aspirations, India has the aspiration of becoming a $5 trillion economy, and many say that this is within reach and could possibly be achieved sooner than FY27. So, in that context, can the Indian power sector, with all its challenges, support this growth of being a $5 trillion economy?
Absolutely, the Indian power sector will be a big participant in the transformation. And when we talk of 5 trillion economy, I think the power sector will play a very, very prominent role in bringing about the development and the changes that are taking place in terms of usage of power as well as in terms of availability of power. So I think the Indian power sector is fully geared up. It has demonstrated time and again that it has the ability to add capacities, it has the ability to cater to the needs. And whatever circumstances have been there, even during COVID period, the power sector performed very well. They are the silent warriors who ensured that even when people work from home, the availability of power is there. So I think the power sector will continue to play a very, very important role. And I'm sure the Indian power sector is fully geared up for this challenge.
Great. So, India, I mean, first of all, I would like to ask you, are you bullish on India?
I'm very bullish on India because the demand is very high. And we have seen that the per capita consumption in India is still very low, much lower than the world average, and of course, much lower than the developed countries. So I think there is a great opportunity, and also to leapfrog the technology. We can actually now use the renewable power, use some of the smart grid technologies, and thereby able to use power in a more efficient and in a much cleaner way than what has been done earlier.
This would be my final question, Mr. Sinha. The emergency clause, that is Section 11 of the Electricity Act, has been in place for the longest time this year, I believe. So, could you give an assessment of the impact, because everything is passed through to the consumers with regards to these orders now. So, what could be the, or what is already the impact of these orders in terms of the power tariffs that goes on to the consumer?
So the Section 11 directs the generating companies to generate power on the condition that the tariff will be determined and will be cost reflective by the respective regulator. In our case, also that has been done, and that is as per the Electricity Act itself. And while in the initial period the cost of coal was very high and the tariffs were a little bit on the higher side, we have seen in last few months the cost of coal has come down, and to that extent the tariff has also come down to the consumers. And we expect that with the constant reduction in coal prices, we will continue to pass on the benefit of lower prices to the consumer. And this is a good reference point for any subsequent arrangement or agreement that needs to be finalized.
Even Aptel was surprised, Tata Power being one of the rarest discoms coming up to, at least for the first time, probably appeal for a reduction of power tariffs against the MERC's orders. What prompted that? Is it that stiff a competition now in the power sector?
It's a question of there were certain aspects which was not considered uh, while determining the tariff, and we wanted that those should be considered so that the benefit of a lower cost gets passed on to the consumer. And whatever we did was in consumer interest and to ensure that not only reliable power is there, but affordable and economical cost power is provided to the consumers.
My final thing would be on PSPs, pumped hydro storage projects. Tata Power just recently announced a huge MOU with Maharashtra government for, I believe, 2,800 megawatt. So beyond, I mean, previously when you spoke to me, you had told that Tata Power would invest in PSPs in its own existing hydropower projects. But is there any plan beyond this Maharashtra MOU for now that you're planning?
So we have signed the 2,800 megawatt, which is for setting up at two locations. Uh, and right now, since we have existing reservoirs and the existing plant and existing dams which are there, we believe that our cost of production will be much more efficient compared to going for a greenfield location. Secondly, the period of construction will be much faster because the land and other things are already, infrastructure is already available over there. So right now we are concentrating on setting up the 2.8 gigawatt of pumped hydro. Once we have completed, we will may examine it. But mind you, we are right now only using two of our reservoirs. We have six of them, and to that extent, we have much larger opportunity to develop and enhance the capacity over here itself.
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Sinha. Until we meet again, thank you.